really separate a little bit, and then maybe I'll put it together. But, in high-risk MDS, this is really our standard backbone, now and probably really for the indefinite future. But really only half of patients respond, really half get absolutely no response, and there is some toxicity with cytopenias and other issues from the therapy. And really only 20% of patients, typically or less, get a complete remission, really normalization of blood counts, normalization of these other parameters. And it does matter because we and others have shown that CR really is the most tightly correlated with, with improved overall survival. So I think because we have that backbone, which is better than nothing, but there's really a big ways forward. So I do think like our magrolimab data are highly encouraging that maybe we could have a new standard backbone for high-risk MDS, but there are multiple other novel drugs in combination that are showing quite exciting data. Venetoclax has been tested with higher response rates, although maybe not as high complete remission rates, but I think we're still learning on, what's the right dose and schedule, somewhat abbreviated versus acute myeloid leukemia patients. Also, there are other novel immune therapies. MBG453 was presented at ASH, which is a TIM3 inhibitor, and is now moving into randomized studies. Pevonedistat is a NET8 inhibitor, which is actually in phase 3 studies. And so I think very soon in the near future, we're going to be able to move it, but that's really going to be our backbone for patients. I think what's also changing the landscape a little bit is very well we may have 2 oral hypomethylating agents, oral decitabine for MDS, and then CC486 for a specific indication and post-transplant maintenance for patients who've had induction chemotherapy. So I think how we move to orals and maybe, make things easier for patients, it's going to be an important metric. In AML, we now sort of have a real improvement of azacitidine or decitabine with venetoclax that has, the phase 3 press released not long ago that at least it didn't meet its primary endpoint of improved overall survival. We're still waiting on all the specific data, but I think we have that new backbone, at least for elderly or patients that are younger that have severe comorbidities precluding them from intensive chemotherapy. So I think we're going to start to see lots of trials maybe adding on to that backbone. There's also questions, let's say if we achieve very deep responses, could we potentially stop therapy, as right now it's really indefinite. And then I think probably one of the biggest unmet questions is, you're sort of fit but older. So let's say you're 60 to 70-year-old, patients who are fit, should they get standard induction? Should they get a HMA venetoclax combination? You'll get key opinion leaders with very differing opinions because there's really no randomized or good control data to support. So I think really what is the best and optimal therapy from the beginning in different subsets? I think there's going to be a lot of more personalization that is possible for AML patients.